Hello and welcome to another episode of Game Theory, the #1 DraftKings prep show in all of the land. I'm your host Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and in this very episode, guys and girls, we are going to be breaking down all 12 fights happening this Saturday at UFC Vegas 64 at the world-renowned Apex Center yet again. So before we get into it, guys, I'd love it if you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Never miss out on any pertinent DFS information before each and every UFC card. And hopefully this week I will remember at the end of the show, we will go over CM Monk's picks as far as who's going to win this card. But I will try to give you my personal picks to who I think is going to win as we go through it. So guys, we did lose a fight. Unfortunately, Yailton Almeida is off against Maxim Grishin, and apparently, as of yesterday, we had 3 female fighters in Brazil who were having trouble getting flights. I don't know if that's changed at all, but we're going to pretend like they are still going on. So we'll try to rush through this a bit lackluster card here pretty quickly, guys. First fight of the night. Let's get right into it. We have Ramona Pascual going against Tamiris Vidal. Vidal was one having trouble getting a flight the other day, so we'll see if this fight actually happens. I have no stats for Vidal. She has no Dana White Contender Series fights, no UFC fights either, so this won't be take too long. 8,500 for Vidal, which I always find questionable when the newcomer is more expensive than the person with at least, a couple of UFC fights, as we have here. Ramona Pascual is 0-2 in the UFC. 7,700 and probably well deserved. She does score 0.95 points per minute in takedowns and control time. The strength of schedule is pretty even for both these women, which is to say very, very poor. Ramona Pascual's strength of victory is probably the lowest on the card, 36 out of a possible 100. That is not what you want to see. She's taken losses to Jocelyn Edwards and Josiane Nunes. If I had to guess, this fight's going to decision. Probably no one's going to score very well, so I am going to be fading the shit out of this first fight of the night here, Ramona Pascual and Tamiris Vidal. Like I said, if it actually happens, I'm not excited for this one whatsoever. Pascual is 6-4 professionally. Like I said, 0-2 in the UFC. 2 great salaries, so it is a shame the 7,700 and the 8,500 have to go to this fight. But I guess I don't know. I'll pick Vidal just because can't get much worse than Ramona Pascual, to be honest. So let's pick Vidal and move on. Next fight, Jake Hadley going against Carlos Candelario, 2 guys that are 0-1 in the UFC. You see how this card is kind of shaken out? Yeah, this is going to be like this the entire way. Jake Hadley, Carlos Candelario. Hadley, $9,200, the second most expensive fighter this week. Yes, he is 0-1 in the UFC and is the second most expensive fighter. Candelario, $7,000. What do we get? These guys scored terribly. Hadley scored 1.25 points a minute against Alan Nascimento in his third round decision loss. Candelario scored 2.48 points a minute to Tatsuro Taira, who did not finish him, but did go 15 minutes with him. Pretty easy fight for Mr. Tatsuro Taira there. Both these guys got outscored. This is another just really bad fight. Not good for salary Voodoo. Candelario did score some takedowns against Taira, and Hadley has given up almost 2 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Meanwhile, Candelario's given up 1.3 minutes in takedowns and control time. I think Candelario can probably land takedowns on Hadley, and if that's the case, Hadley's not going to be worth 9,200. I'll take some shares of Candelario here, who is $200 under his average salary. Not excited for this fight. This is going to be a week where I think a lot of underdogs are going to win, and you're going to have to pick your underdogs carefully. Can Candelario beat Hadley? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? That I can't tell you. I'll have a bit of both sides of this one, but I like the Candelario side. Hadley's projections are very, very low. 80 points in a decision win. The graphs aren't really here yet. Finishes, they've never been finished in a loss, so neither guy's ever been finished. So what does that tell us? Probably another decision fight, possibly a very low-scoring fight. It depends. Whoever can get their takedowns off is probably going to win the fight and score well. That said, I guess I'll take Candelario at $7,000. I can't imagine paying $9,200 for Jake Hadley. That said, yeah, Candelario's never been finished. I'm not expecting he gets finished by Hadley, so we'll keep it at that. I'm picking, fuck it, I'll pick Candelario for the win. Why not? Johnny Munoz Jr. going against Ludwig Sholinian, or Sholinian. I'm not sure which way is actually pronounced, but I'll go with Sholinian. Yeah, I'm going to pick Munoz Jr. here. Both guys, another fight with two guys with losing records. 1-2 in the UFC for Munoz, 0-1 for Sholinian. Sholinian, 7,500, scored less than 1 point per minute. These are Alan Amadovsky type numbers that he put up in his first fight, which is to say not good against Jack Shore. Got his butt whooped in a 3-round decision. Over 1.2 points per minute allowed in takedowns and control time. Meanwhile, Munoz has put on one decent performance against, Jamie Simmons. It is what it is. Losses to Nate Maness and Tony Gravely. Got finished by Gravely very, very early into the first round. Munoz, $8,700, very expensive, 667 over his average. He might be worth it in this fight. I'll probably be putting him in a few lineups. I think he can easily get a win here. 3.6 points a minute, 91 when he did win. 1.63 points a minute in takedowns and control time. So there is an obvious path here for Munoz Jr. to get the win. Since Sholinian, gives up a ton of points, at least he did in his fight against Jack Shore. Yeah, these fights are terrible, guys. Just my advice is save your money for UFC 281. That would be my final advice. Here are the projections if you wanted to see those. Percents of finishes and wins in the career, 65% in the UFC, 100% for obviously only one win, and that was Munoz over Jamie Simmons. I'm picking Munoz Jr. to win here. I think he can probably get it done inside the distance. So this is the first fight that I kind of will have a decent amount of exposure to. Like I said, I like Munoz here. The salary win percentage, so $8,700 salary wins 74% of the time. So I do like that number. Makes optimal 33% of the time, which is a fantastic number. So give me Johnny Munoz here over Ludwig Sholinian. And at 0-1, Sholinian's going to have to show me a reason why I would roster him when he scored 0.87 points per minute in his last fight. And we're paying up $400. We're paying up $400 for less than 1 point per minute. So give me Johnny Munoz Jr. here. I think he can get the win, and I think he can do it inside the distance. That said, Sholinian's never been finished, so we'll see if he can get it done this time. Frey going up against Viana. Viana's another one of the 3 women who I'd mentioned that was having trouble getting a flight after the the elections in Brazil. So we'll see how this pans out. But for now, we'll just consider it this fight is happening as we are blazing through this card. Again, guys, not excited for this one. Frey scores less than 2 points a minute, 68 points per win. She is unplayable in DraftKings. And that said, we're not even going to pay attention to her the rest of this little breakdown that we're doing. Just do not play Frey. Don't do it. Viana, if you have to play a side, I'd play this side. 2.8 points a minute, not great. 103.84 per win. And again, look at these UFC records. 2-3 for Frey, 3-4 for Viana. Can we get someone with a winning record, please, in these fights? I don't think we've had one yet. In fact, I'm going to waste your time and go back and check. 0-2 is Pascual. No fights for Vidal. Hadley's 0-1. Candelario's 0-1. Munoz Jr.'s 1-2. Sholinian 0-1. And Frey 2-3. Viana 3-4. These people all have losing or no record so far, and we are 8 fighters deep. So that's the kind of quality that we're getting on this Apex card this week. I know I'm complaining. I would watch fights if it was, if it was Bellator, for God's sake. I would watch fights, but this is pretty bad for the UFC product. Anyways, Viana scoring 103.84 in her 3 UFC wins total. 2 of them were over Mallory Martin and Emily Whitmire. So Frey, not one for really getting finished. In fact, she's only been finished once in her entire UFC career. 3 times total in her professional career. Can Viana do it? She does have 8 subs, or 8 finishes by sub, 3 finishes by sub in the UFC. So that is the path to victory. Frey has been subbed in the UFC, so there we go. And she's also $171, Viana, cheaper than her average salary. Yeah. Like I said, don't play Frey. These women's strength of schedule, you want these numbers to be in the 70s. 70 is good. Anything over 75 is fantastic. We're not even at 60. We're barely in the 50s in some of these categories. Frey has beaten Gloria DePaula, Ashley Yoder, losses to Demopoulos, Lukbunmi, and Kay Hansen. Not a good look. She got subbed by Kay frickin' Hansen. Viana losses to Baby Shark, Tabitha Ricci, Veronica Macedo. Not a good look there. And Hannah Cyphers. Here are my a couple of raw DraftKings points per minute graphs. Viana trending down while her opponent trends up. Here are my projections, very, very low, especially on the Frey side. Like I said, I do not trust Frey at all. I will not be playing her whatsoever in my lineups. 68 points per win is trash, and this fight in general is trash for the most part. So, you know, whoever wins most of these fights won't even have a winning UFC record still. So that is what we are looking at. Official pick, I'm picking Viana. Probably by terrible decision. Let's see. Oh, of course, this happens. Because I spelled it wrong up here. Just give me 1 second, y'all. And we will get back to it. Bautista going against, there we go, Benito Lopez. Is this right? Am I still in order? It looks like I am. Another fight that this one actually might be decent. Here we actually have guys with winning records in the UFC. 4-2 for Bautista, 2-1 for Lopez. Lopez hasn't fought in over 3 years, so immediate red flag. I'm picking Mario Bautista to win this fight. Scores almost 4 points a minute, 97 per win. Allows just 2.88 points a minute, but 103.68. That is because he did get finished by, I believe, yes, Trevin Jones in the second round and gave up, oh, what is that? 94.38 points right there. So has given up quite a few points when he does lose. Benito Lopez in his 2 UFC wins, or in his UFC career, sorry, 2.11 points a minute, and when he does win, just 62.3. Not interested in Benito Lopez at all. Give me Mario Bautista here. I like him at 9,100. Anywhere that I would probably play Jake Hadley, I'll be playing Mario Bautista instead. I mean, scores very well in decisions, pretty good when he wins by sub, has over 1 point per minute in takedowns and control time, which is what stat that I do love to look at. 3 of his 4 wins over 90 points, 2 of them over 100. Meanwhile, Lopez only 1 loss, but he did give up over 100 points in that one, which was against, Manny Bermudez, got subbed in the first round, gave up, what, 101.96. Bautista coming off some great wins over Kelleher, Perrin, Miles Johns, Jinsu San. Like I said, only lost to Trevin Jones, which hopefully he can recover here by. Benito Lopez, a very good win over Vince Morales. Beat Albert Morales. So apparently if your name is Morales, you're going to lose to Lopez. Luckily, we have a Bautista here. Mario Bautista, not Mario Morales. So Benito Lopez probably doesn't stand much of a chance here. Give me Mario Bautista for the win. I think he has a chance at finish, but it's probably a decision. Either way, I think he can score very well. I'm putting him, you know, I'll definitely have him in my lineups at 9,100. He is $1,000 over his average salary, which is not a good look, but still, I think he's coming into his own here. I like the kid, and I think he's going to do well against Benito Lopez at 9,100. So give me Mario Bautista for the win and in DraftKings. Next fight. Here's a smash spot for me. Miranda Maverick going against Shanna Young. I'm on the Maverick side here, guys. I know, yes, she is the most expensive fighter, $9,400, but she has made the optimal twice out of her previous 4 fights. Shanna Young, meanwhile, the cheapest fighter on the card. So you do, you know, if you're on the Young side, you get a ton of salary relief. She's 567 under her average, while Miranda Maverick is 540 over her average. That said, Miranda's putting up some good numbers. 3 points a minute, 106.15 per win. She scores triple digits whether she wins by KO, sub, and 98 when she wins by decision, almost 99. So basically triple digits across the board. The $9,400 salary has a win rate of 81%, an optimal rate of 36%, the second best on the entire card. I absolutely love the Maverick side here, and at 9,400, it's really not breaking the bank. You know, usually we see 9,500, occasionally 9,600. So 9,400, not terrible. You can get to plenty of Miranda Maverick and still have room for basically whoever else you want to put in. She scores over 1 point a minute. Meanwhile, or in takedowns and control time, I should say. Meanwhile, Shanna Young gives up 1.77 points per minute in those 2 categories. So I mean, Maverick is scoring 22 grappling points per win. You know, more grappling points in her win than striking points, which is fantastic. And Shanna Young gives up, on average, 40 grappling points per loss to her opponent. So that is a ton of points that she's giving up there. Maverick also gives up a ton of points grappling, but Shanna Young is not the one to be taking her down, in my opinion. I do not think. Young with a 65% takedown defense. Miranda Maverick's strength of schedule is 10 points better than Young's across the board. 20 almost in some cases, with wins over Joshua Robertson and Sabina Mazo. Losses to Blanchfield, who's no joke, and Macy Barber, who, you know, not the best loss there. Meanwhile, Shandy Young, her only win in the UFC is to Gina Mazzani. Lost to Stephanie Egger and Macy Chiasson. Definitely some decent losses there. Maverick barely trending down, while her opponents trend up. Meanwhile, Shandy Young is trending up, but that's just because of the Gina Mazzani win. Here are my professional and UFC aggregate career finishing percentages. Pretty high as far as flyweights go. That's the other thing. Women's flyweights, the second best optimal rate as far as weight classes go out of all weight classes. So I will be targeting this fight, specifically the Miranda side at 9,400. I absolutely love it. I think she gets this one done. In decision, I think she scores well with a ton of takedowns and control time, but she also has a chance to finish this fight. Young has been finished once in her career. That's it. But I think Miranda could get it done here. Hopefully we see some improvements, and I do really like her in this fight. So I will be picking her to win this fight personally and paying the 9,400 to get her in my lineups, guys. Next fight, Derek Minner, yikes, going against Sholinian Nuerdanbieke. I love Sholinian here. 8,900. That is a lot of money to be paying. That is a lot of money to be paying for Sholinian. 2 out of 3 fights, or 2 out of his 3 previous fights, however, he has made the optimal lineup. Meanwhile, Minner has made it in 1 out of his past 3 fights, and that would have been to Charles Rosa. So let's see, Minner actually, when he does win, and he only has 2 UFC wins, and again, another guy with a losing record, 116.32. Scores 3.87 points per minute. So when things are going his way, things are really, really going his way. Meanwhile, Sholinian, 3.85 points a minute and over 100 points per win. Looking great there. Only allows 58 when he lost, 2.41 points per minute. Big red flag, though. He is $1,700 over his average salary. That is definitely not a place you want to be. But in this case, it could be warranted because Derek Minner, not really the best UFC fighter. Like I said, when things go his way, they really do. But when they don't, they go downhill quickly. I mean, he scores 1.77 points per, or 1.75 points per minute in takedowns control time, but he gives up, you know, almost 0.9 per minute in those same categories. Meanwhile, Sholinian scores almost 2 points a minute in those 2 categories and gives up half of what Minner does when it comes to takedowns and control time. Some really bad takedown defense from both guys. Whoever gets their wrestling off is going to have the better fight here. The stats say, or sorry, the bookies think that that's going to be Sholinian, most likely, and I probably tend to agree. I'm just not a fan of Derek Minner here, although he does have the much better strength of schedule. He's only 2-3 in his last 5. His only wins are to TJ Laramie and Charles Rosa, with losses to Darren Elkins. Got knocked out by Darren Elkins in 2021. Lost to Ryan Hall, which, yikes, and then Grant Dawson. Meanwhile, Sholinian lost his UFC debut to Culibao, beat Sean Soriano all over the place, and then beat TJ Brown as well, trending up while his opponents trend up, just not as steeply. Meanwhile, Derek Minner trending down while his opponents trend up. Here are my projections. I like Sholinian here. I think this fight probably goes to decisions. Very high percent finish rate as far as in their career. 81% of their wins have finished. Excuse me, 83% of their losses have finished in their career. So this could, you know, who knows? This could be an early night for one of these guys. I'm still on the Sholinian side. I just don't know how much I'm interested in paying $8,900 for him. He did make optimal, like I said, against Sean Soriano. He scored 98 points, and against TJ Brown, he scored 105. So that could be good for whatever. Let's see, his salaries were 73 and 72. That could be good for those salaries, but at 8,900. Those scores just aren't going to be high enough. I mean, maybe they will this week, because I don't think this week is going to be, you know, I mean, it's either going to go one of 2 ways. Tons of terrible decisions or tons of early finishes, because the variance is so high. We're going to have 100-point scores all over the place. So I guess my official pick is Sholinian. Give me Nuerdanbieke here. But I'll probably be a bit under the field as far as DraftKings goes on him. And maybe I'll have about average of Derek Minner. I'm never excited for a Derek Minner fight, to be completely honest. Just not excited at all. So give me Sholinian as far as that one goes. Here is one I'm actually excited for. Mark the Olympian Madsen. That's what the O stands for. Mark O Madsen. The O is Olympian. Grant Dawson going against him. 9K for Grant Dawson. 7.2K for Mark Madsen. Both guys score very well per minute. Madsen 3.5 points a minute, 85 per win. Only allows 1.81 points a minute back at him. That is the best defensive rate on the entire card. He's also $1,650 less than his average salary. Meanwhile, Grant Dawson, $9,000, almost $200 more than his average. 4.27 points a minute, the best number on the card. 103 per win, and only allows 1.9 points per minute. Neither of these guys allow points. The first and second best defensive pace numbers on the entire card. So this is going to be a very interesting one. Both guys score a ton of points in takedowns and control time, as you would expect. Both guys do not give up a ton of points in those two categories, as you would expect. Grant Dawson's listed at 5'10", so 2 inches taller than Madsen. Same reach. This one's going to be an interesting fight, guys. Everybody likes to pick against Mark Madsen, I've noticed, but he just finds a way to get it done, whether it's against Clay Guida, in which they show absolutely no wrestling at all, and he still gets it done, or whether it's against, you know, Vince Pichel, who he takes down 3 times, controls for 35% of the fight, and gets it done that way. So I honestly don't know what to do. Grant Dawson is undefeated in the UFC. He only has 1 loss professionally, so this guy's no joke. Smashed Jared Gordon, beat Santos, beat Nad Narimani, beat Derek Minner, who we've been talking about, while Madsen coming off of a win over Bellawardo, Hubbard, Clay Guida, and Vince Pichel. Dawson has the much better strength of schedule, as you can imagine. Here are my DraftKings points per minute. Both guys' graphs not even touching their opponents, guys. This fight is going to be very, very good. Probably the best fight that we've talked about so far. And that's, you know, not saying much because we've talked about some shitty fights, but I really, really do like this fight here. My projections, as you can see right there, visual statistical recap, much more real estate for Grant Dawson, but Madsen is poking out at that UFC win percentage, and that is the most important part. You got to get that win, most likely, to make the DraftKings optimal lineup here. 100% of their career losses have been finishes, which is what? 1 loss. So that was the Grant Dawson's loss. Oh yeah, Mark Madsen, undefeated professionally, if I didn't mention that. 4-0 in the UFC, 12-0 professionally. So these guys cumulatively are 31-1 in their professional record. So damn good fight, this one. I have to make an official pick. My heart says Mark Madsen's going to win. I mean, us bald guys got to stick together. But man, I just have a feeling that Grant Dawson could possibly give Mark Madsen his first L. So that said, I'll have some of both of these guys at $7,200. Mark Madsen is a steal. He could provide a ton of value, especially even in a loss. He could provide a ton of value if he gets 1 or 2 takedowns, gets some control time, carries this one to a decision, lands some strikes here and there. He could score 30, 40 points, 50 points in a loss, which would be damn good. You know, decent for a $7,200 salary. That's one of the lowest salaries we have this week, guys. 3rd or 4th lowest. Meanwhile, Grant Dawson, you are paying up for him $9,000, but again, it could be worth it. If somehow he finishes Madsen, that would be worth it. If he's able to take Madsen down and control Madsen, that could also be worth it. I mean, these guys are scoring very well in decision wins for the most part, submission wins. Man. My heart says Madsen, my head says Dawson. I'm going to be playing both in DraftKings. I will be well over the field most likely on this fight. Official pick. I don't know what to do, guys. Official pick from me, not CM Monk. Give me Grant Dawson. In a fucking close fight, give me Grant Dawson. Next fight, Tagir Ulanbekov going against Nate Maness here, guys. I'm going to have to roll. I'm going to have to roll with the underdog on this one. I'm picking Nate Maness, 2.63 points a minute. I've picked against him in almost every single one of his UFC fights. Let's see. I picked against him in the Munoz fight. I don't remember the Sanders fight. I picked against him in Gravely fight. Obviously, I picked against him in the Umar Nurmagomedov fight. But I've been wrong on Nate Maness a few times. I'm hoping he gets this one done against Tagir Ulanbekov, who I did pick to lose against Tim Elliott, one of my great dog picks of the year. That was back in March. It's that one. There's some delete say dog picks that I'm very I'm gonna say I'm proud of, but that doesn't sound right. They're not like my children or anything, but they were decent underdog picks. I've made plenty of bad underdog picks, trust me. But Nate Maness, you know, allowing a ton of points per minute, a ton of points per loss. But Ulanbekov generally does not score well when he wins. Only 2 UFC wins, but less than 90 points on average. And those wins were to Nascimento and Bruno Silva, 92 against Nascimento and 85 against Silva. So he's going to have to show me something before I roster him in a decent amount of lineups. 8,600 is not terribly expensive. It is $750 less than his average salary, so we're getting him cheaper than we've ever gotten him, I believe. Let's double check on that. I have no salary for the Tim Elliott fight. Why is that? 9,400 and 9,300. So yeah, well under his average salary, in my opinion here. So I do like a little bit of Ulanbekov, but I really think Maness could get this one done. 2 of his 3 wins have been over 100 points, so you do love to see that. Meanwhile, Ulanbekov did allow over 100 points to Tim Elliott. Let's see, it looks like he gave up 95.76 total. Also, Ulanbekov, 61% takedown defense. Tim Elliott was able to take him down twice. Alan Nascimento was able to take him down 4 times. And Bruno Silva took him down 5. Oh, no, I'm reading these numbers wrong. Please excuse me. Let's start over. Elliott took him down 3 times. Nascimento was not able to take him down, and Silva took him down 4 times. Now, meanwhile, Ulanbekov put 11 takedowns up on the board for himself in those 3 fights. So, I'm not saying he can't do that, but Maness did take down Umar Nurmagomedov. Nope, never mind. I'm reading my own stats wrong, guys. Maness took down Gravely once, Sanders once, and Munoz Jr. once. Got taken down by Umar 3 times. So, both guys trending up while their opponents trend up as well. Here are my projections. Tons more real estate here for Nate Maness, as you can see these visual statistical recap numbers. Ulanbekov poking out at grappling points per win, though, that's for sure. And here are my career finishing percentages. Pretty low for the most part, especially in losses, but barely over 50% in their career in wins. So, this one could be interesting. I think this is going to be a highly owned fight, and I'll probably be under the field on it. If anything, I'll be over the field on Maness, but under on Ulanbekov, so it'll probably even out to be under the field on the fight as a whole. I'm just not impressed so far with Ulanbekov. And like I said, I have a terrible time picking Nate Maness fights. So Maness is the one with the optimal lineup experience, did make optimal in 1 out of his past 2 fights, and that would have been against Tony Gravely. So give me Nate Maness. Maybe we'll get lucky here again with a dog pick. Like I said, I think there's a ton of live dogs this week, and Nate Maness is absolutely one of them. So official pick for me, Nate Maness as the dog, 7,600. Put him in your lineups. Put him in your lineups. Next fight, the Coco main event of the evening. And Coco, you know, a very sweet and you know, when you think of Coco, you think of chocolate. When you think of chocolate, you think of people stuffing their face with chocolate. When I think of people stuffing their face with chocolate, I think of some of these heavyweight divisional fights, guys. And this is a prime example. Josh Parisian going against Chase, the Vanilla Gorilla Sherman. Guys, I'm going to say it right off the bat. I'm picking Chase Sherman to win this fight. I think he's turned a corner. This is not going to be the Chase Sherman that we're all used to. Chase Sherman, we're going to get the Jared Vanderaa version of Chase Sherman. Okay, Chase is gonna put it on Josh Parisian, who lost to Dontel Mays, who lost to Parker Porter, who beat Alan Badeau, but who doesn't beat Alan Badeau? Give me Chase Sherman, guys. 3 points a minute, 102 when he wins. These numbers are barely better than Josh Parisian's, but they are better. Look at what Parisian allows. 5 points a minute is what Josh Parisian allows in his 51 minutes of fight time, guys. 51 minutes, he gives up 5 points a minute. Now, I'm no math major, but that's like 255 points total he's given up, it seems like. And he gives up 115 on average when he loses. Who has he lost to? Like I said, Mays, he gave up, what is this? 79 plus a bunch, over 120. And he also gave up, you know, 106 to Mr. Parker Porter. Parisian's problem is he gets taken down and controlled a lot. Meanwhile, Chase Sherman does not do that. Doesn't really do it at all. But also, Parisian allows 3.29 points per minute just in strikes, guys. That's not even counting the times he's been knocked down. Just in strikes, he gives up 3.29 points a minute. Give me Chase Sherman here, guys. He's the younger fighter. He's probably going to be in better shape. And I know we're talking about Chase Sherman here, but still, he is 4-9 in the UFC. I know. I didn't make the fight, guys. I'm just picking it. Give me Chase Sherman, man. He looked decent against Vanderaa. I mean, I know Vanderaa makes anyone look decent, but I mean, how much better is Parisian? I mean, probably way better. Jared Vanderaa freaking sucks. But, I mean, Parisian can't be, like, levels above Vandera, right? He can't be, like, 4 levels above. Maybe 1. Maybe he's, like he can, like, yell down at him at his balcony. That's how close they are. I just think Sherman has the ability to get this done. Now, can Sherman come out here and look like absolute dog shit? Absolutely. That's how he got a 4-9 record. Both guys' strength of schedule is trash. In fact, Sherman is 1-4 in his last 5. Parisian at least is, you know, has a 3-2 record. Why am I only showing 4 fights? Oh, okay. He's 2-2 in the UFC, 3-2 professionally in his last 5. But Sherman with losses to Arlovsky, Parker Porter. Both these guys lost to Parker Porter. Jake Collier, not a good look. Then he lost to Romanov, which, you know, is Romanov. Both guys trending up while their opponents trend up much faster than they are. Here are my projections. Obviously much higher for Chase Sherman. That has a lot to do with his last fight. DraftKings visual statistical recap. 90% of their cumulative professional wins, so 31 of them, 90% of them have ended in finish. 60% of their losses have ended by finish. Yeah, this fight probably should not go the distance. I don't really want to play it in DraftKings, but I'm going to, and I'm going to probably have more Chase Sherman than Josh Parisian. You're actually paying $200 up for Chase Sherman while you're paying almost $300 down for Parisian. So take that information how you want. I'm personally picking Chase Sherman, guys. I don't trust either guy, but I really don't trust... I mean, Jesus Christ. How am I going to say I don't trust Parisian and then I say I kind of trust Sherman? No. They're both terrible. This is a terrible heavyweight fight. I'm just picking Chase Sherman. That's it. I mean, based on their last fight and their performances and blah, blah, blah. Give me Sherman inside the distance. Parisian's going down, baby. Let's go. What a shit fight. Next fight, co-main event, guys. Neil Magny going against Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez. I mean, oh, I don't know. I would pick Daniel Rodriguez, but he looked not great against the Leech. Obviously there was a ton of shuffling on that card. Nobody fought the guy they were supposed to fight. I'm picking Daniel Rodriguez to beat Neil Magny, probably by decision. And if that's the case, Rodriguez has the better numbers. 3.86 points a minute, 96, almost 97 per win, while Magny's numbers are decent, but less than Rodriguez's. Rodriguez also, when he did lose to, oh God, don't make me look. Fuck, I'm gonna have to look. Nicholas Dalby. He did only give up 54 points. Meanwhile, when Magny loses, which he's done so 8 times in the UFC, on average, he allows almost 101 points, guys. So he's getting finished. 6 of his 8 losses are by finish. 6 of 8 by finish, and he's coming off a devastating loss to one of my favorite up-and-coming fighters, Shavkat Rakhmonov. I mean, I will not say a bad word about this guy because he might send his fucking falcon after me and rip my tongue out. Who knows? I'm not taking Shavkat. You're the man. I'll never say a bad word about you. Strength of schedules are very, very similar. The stats say give it to Magny, but they are very similar. His other loss to Magny's in his last 5 was to Michael Chiesa. And then that Rodriguez-Dalby fight, according to the Ass Whoop Index, Rodriguez won that fight. According to Just Stats, you take out the minute-by-minute, or the round-by-round scoring. Just Stats, D-Rod won that fight. Either way, it was a very close fight. Maybe he should have won. Maybe he shouldn't have won. That's not for me to decide. But my point is Rodriguez is looking pretty good lately. Didn't look great in that Leech fight, but like I said, everybody was on short notice that fight. Nobody's fighting the guys they were supposed to. Maybe he just took it easy. That fight ended up being 180 pounds, so it's 10 pounds over what just a cluster that one was. So Magny trending way down while his opponents trend way up. Meanwhile, Rodriguez pretty even keel, barely trending down, while his opponents, again, pretty even but barely trending up. Here are my projections, much higher for Rodriguez as you would expect. Aggregate career and UFC finishing percentages, and also the visual statistical recap, I should say. Much more real estate for Rodriguez. Looks like Magny's poking out in the grappling points per win. What does Rodriguez give up as far as grappling points? About half a point per minute. So that is the angle he is going to have to watch out for, is Neil Magny attempting to take him down. Magny has landed, what, 9 takedowns in his past 5 fights. 4 were on Lawler, though. 1 against Chiesa, 2 against Neil, 1 against Griffin, and then he didn't do shit against Shavkat. So, as you would expect, tons of finishes and losses, guys. 2/3 of these guys' losses have been finishes. I'm picking Daniel Rodriguez. he could get lucky. Not lucky. He could finish this inside the distance. I mean, Magny, I tend to underestimate Magny a lot. From what I've seen, he's very, very difficult to bet on or bet against, in my opinion. I know some people might have a different read on that. For me, Magny's a very hard guy to bet on or against. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to pick D-Rod in this one. I like his finishing potential, and I just like that he can win minutes overall. So even in a decision, I think he could win this. Will he be worth his salary? At a dog salary? Yes. If he scores 90, 95 points in a decision at 7,800, it could be an interesting play. Meanwhile, if Magny wins by decision and scores his average 83, that's not even 10x. So give me Daniel Rodriguez with the upside, with a bit of salary relief, and a possible finishing upside as well. So I'm picking Daniel Rodriguez for the win. And there we go. Guys, we did it. One more time, hit that sub button if you wouldn't mind. Marina Rodriguez going against Amanda Lemos. This is another one. Lemos was having trouble leaving Brazil the other day, yesterday. So I think she was trying to find a flight at like 11 p.m. last night. I have no idea. I've been, scouring Twitter all day to see if any of these fights fell off before I was supposed to talk about them. So now that I'm actually recording, I'm sure we've lost a couple of them, but hopefully not this one. This is going to be a good main event. Let's get right into it, guys. I'm going to not play this on DraftKings. If anything, I'll play some Lemos, but probably not a lot of Rodriguez. I'm picking Marina Rodriguez to win this fight. I think she gets it done. She has one loss in her professional career, and that was against Carla Esparza, the now champ. So say what you want about that. I think Rodriguez is a damn good fighter. I also like Amanda Lemos, but getting standing arm triangled is never a good look, guys. I don't care who it's against. Rodriguez just does not score well, though. 83 points per win. Meanwhile, Amanda Lemos is more of a DraftKings scorer than Rodriguez is. 3.74 points a minute for Lemos, almost 99 per win, and this is over 6 UFC wins, guys. So a very good scorer. I'll have some of Lemos in lineups, but I really think Marina Rodriguez is going to win this fight. She's primarily a striker. Neither one of these women looks for the takedown a ton, but if one of them will, it's probably Amanda Lemos. She has landed that. She scores over 5.5 points per minute in those two categories. The strength of schedule is not even close. Rodriguez is about 10 points better in every category than Amanda Lemos in that regard. Both women 4-1 in their past 5. Rodriguez beating Yan Xiaonan, Mackenzie Dern, Michelle Waterson-Gomez, and Amanda Ribas, while Lemos also with a win over Waterson-Gomez, Angela Hill, Montserrat Ruiz, and Lavinia Souza. Let's see, Marina Rodriguez, pretty even keel as far as DraftKings scoring per minute. Just doesn't do nothing crazy, nothing spectacular, but she is very, very consistent, which me as a DraftKings player love to see, because I kind of know if I know what you're going to do beforehand, that makes things way easier for me when I'm going about picking lineups. Meanwhile, Lemos trending way down per minute scoring, while our opponents trend up just barely. Here are my projections. Obviously higher for Lemos. She scores much better, like I said, in DraftKings. But Marina is the more consistent fighter, which is what I'm looking for. DraftKings visual statistical recap. And then the finish rate, guys. 2/3 of their losses in their career and in the UFC have been finishes. I expect a 5-round decision here. Let's see. Sorry for scrolling all over the place. Let's see. Marina scored 88 in a decision win against Mackenzie Dern. That's what I was looking for. She scored 85 in a decision win against Michelle Waterson-Gomez. So we're not doing a ton in these decision wins, obviously, as far as DraftKings goes. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant to put Marina Rodriguez in many of my lineups. 8,800, guys. I mean, I just don't, short of finishing Lemos in the first round, which I don't see happening, I don't think that she's going to make the optimal lineup. So I will be a bit trepidatious on this one as far as Rodriguez go. I'm picking her to win the fight. I think she can get it done against Lemos early. I think she can get it done against Lemos in a decision, but I just don't like how she scores generally. So I'll have a bit of Lemos, but just because, like I said, she's the better DraftKings scorer. But do I really think she's going to win? Probably not. So my pick is Marina Rodriguez. Hopefully this fight will be a banger. I mean, I just love watching Marina Rodriguez fight. I think she's fantastic. I really do. I really like watching her fight. She looked great in the Dern fight. She looked decent in the Yan Xiaonan fight. That one was her closest fight probably to date. Maybe the Michelle Waterson-Gomez fight, according to the stats, was pretty close as well. But I want to see what she can do. I want to see her get back, win this fight and maybe get a rematch with Carla Esparza. So that would be huge. I want to see what would happen there. I mean, both these women in this fight, 35 years old, so we're not getting too up there, but if they want to start making a title run, now is the time. So I think the winner puts themselves in a great position, and I think that's going to be Marina Rodriguez. So guys, we did it. That is all 12 fights. Hopefully none of them canceled on me while I was recording this, and I will not forget this time. You heard my picks. You heard who I think is going to win. Here are CM Monk's picks. Now, CM Monk is my spreadsheet. It is the thing that picks fights based on stats, and I think we're just under 60% for the year, which is not great. We were over 60% most of the year, but a few of these tournaments, a few of these cards lately have not been great. So, guys, let's get right into it. Make this bigger for you. UFC 64, let's go. Look at all these yellows. These are the most underdog picks that I've ever seen probably on any card. So this is going to be an interesting card. First fight, CM Monk is picking Pascual by decision over Tamir's Vidal. I don't mind that, I guess. I don't really know anything about Vidal. Next fight, Jake Hadley over Carlos Candelario by decision. Johnny Munoz Jr., first fight I do agree with here by finish over Sholinian. That would be huge at 8,700. That's what I'm hoping for. Frey, underdog pick over Viana by decision. I like Viana in this one, but it could easily be Frey. I'm not playing Frey in DraftKings, though. Do not play Frey in DraftKings. Don't do it. If anything else I say if everything else I say is wrong this week, hopefully that one will not be wrong. Do not play Frey. Next fight, Bautista over Benito Lopez by finish. I love that pick. I hope that happens. Miranda Maverick by decision over Shani Young. I definitely agree with that there. Nuerdanbieke over Derek Minner by finish. I would love to see that at $8,900. He needs a finish to pay that salary off. Grant Dawson over Mark Madsen by finish. I would be shocked if this fight went to a finish. But I don't mind the Dawson pick. I think I picked Dawson as well. Tajir Ulanbekov over Nate Maness by decision. I'm hoping Nate Maness wins, but an Ulanbekov decision is definitely in the cards. It's definitely a possibility. And then 3 dog picks to end the card, guys. Josh Parisian over Chase Sherman by finish. That could easily happen. I have no idea. Neil Magny losing to Daniel Rodriguez by finish. I think that is definitely a possibility, and I do like that pick. And then the underdog in the main event, Amanda Lemos finishing Marina Rodriguez. I do not think that's going to happen, but man, that would be quite a sight if she finished Marina Rodriguez. So that would be very interesting if she finished Marina Rodriguez. So CM Monk, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's picking 7 fights to finish inside the distance. Leave a comment below. What's your over/under on finishes this week? And I'll set it at 6.5. You think he goes over 6.5 or under? CM Monk clearly thinks it's over. I probably tend to agree. I think there's a lot of finishes on this card. Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts, guys? That is going to do it. UFC Vegas 64. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's end it, guys. Check out Salary Voodoo. That is on the MMA Engine channel. By the time you're watching this, that is up. In fact, don't even push any buttons after this. If you have autoplay turned on, it'll automatically go to Salary Voodoo. That's how powerful the Salary Voodoo is. It'll just switch just like that. So be sure to check that one out. Check me out tonight on the Pub Sports Radio DraftKings show, Wednesday night. And then Monk and Lose Happy Hour on Fridays, guys. As usual, I want all of you to enjoy the fight. So enjoy, and we will see you next time.